everyone. So today we're going to discuss reading. I know, an odd topic, huh? How does that relate to business owners? Well, leaders are readers, right? So if you've been struggling to make reading or listening to books a part of your regular routine, today at 10 at 10, I'm going to have a discussion, fireside discussion with Alec Gilmet, lifetime reader and learner, shares his approach, and it's such an interesting approach, by the way, to reading and how you could probably incorporate this into your day as well. 10 to 10 ears every Thursday at 10 a.m. on LinkedIn Live. Thank you for watching. Good morning, everyone. My name is Paula Madison Sierra, owner of Power Marketing SF in San Francisco, and the host of 10 at 10. Today, my guest, Alec Gilmet, is going to be here to share his, like, basically this love of yours. I just love the way you speak about books and your how you got into it. Alec Gilmet, independent insurance broker, community leader and volunteer, self-defense instructor,
Mhm.
husband, father, avid reader. Thanks for being on the show today, Alex. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome, Paula. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
No, absolutely. So before we get into this love of yours, tell me a bit about your day job, your business, because that's
Well,
how we met, right?
that is, yes. And listen, the day job professionally, it's insurance for small businesses. And it has gravitated to specifically workers' comp. And I deal with all kinds of blue collar businesses. And a lot of that lately has been trucking companies.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a very specific niche that I'm dealing with. But yeah, that's what I do during the day.
Nice. And you sound like you do so much else during after work as well. I love it. So have you been a reader all your life, or is it something that you came to a little bit later in life?
For as long as I can remember, right? So Paul, so growing up, I stuttered as a child from
Oh,
probably 5 until I don't know, maybe 13 or 14. So I was this skinny, pigeon-toed little kid who stuttered, right? So it was difficult to communicate with people. So I just read a lot because it was something productive to do during my personal time. And I've just always been a reader. It's just part of my DNA.
I love that. Was that something that a teacher recommended to you, or a speech therapist, or did you just kind of intuitively figure it out that that could be a wonderful world for you?
This amazing person was both the teacher and speech therapist, also my mom, right? So listen, I was blessed to have a very, very kind, considerate, nurturing mother. And she's the one who got me into reading. And she would
Oh,
read to me at first, and then, that just got to be a love of reading that has never, it's never stopped. I mean, even my wife, when one of the things that attracted me to my wife, she's an avid reader. And
yes, I
it's
love
fun.
that.
Yeah.
The funny part is my three older brothers as well had a stuttering problem. And they're three girls, but we did not. They did, which
Yeah.
was kind of a little oddball. And of course, when you get nervous, you stutter
Mhm.
more, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what are you currently reading right now?
Yeah. So there's two that I'm reading now. This 101 essays that will change the way you think
Nice.
by Brianna Wiest. That was recommended to to me, and it is a very good book. It wouldn't be one that I would normally pick up, but it's just very thought provoking, and I like that it's coming from a different perspective also. So it helps me kind of change the way I view things. And then I got this Martyr's Curse, which is just a fictional. I'm a big fan of the Jack Reacher series by Lee Child, and this is similar to that. So we're giving this a whirl. But those are the two I'm reading now.
Perfect. And well, what's your process for selecting a book for or books for the month?
Yeah. So typically what'll happen is something will come up, right? So during the summer, like when we had a lot of political, social things going. I'd like to dive into subjects, right? Because yes, we see something on the media, interesting, got it. But let me go further into that. So I will go to research that and Google it and see what books come up for pro or con, and then order those books and read the books. And sometimes I'll have to put them in the Amazon cart or whatever it is, because hey, I can only read so much.
You only read so much.
Yeah, but that's how I go about it. And typically it'll be something that I find interesting or relevant, and we'll start there.
Well, this kind of works into a question that I've always had, which is, if it's not your book, if it's not a topic, once you've dived into it, now you're rolling through and it's just, I'm bored by this book. Not, it's not that the book is bad. There's nothing wrong with the book, but maybe it's just not a book that makes sense for you right now. Because you said you select based on topics.
Yeah.
How do you approach that? What would be your suggestion? Because I try to plow through. It ends up taking me longer than I should. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it has taken me a while to evolve to this position, and I view it that now I don't owe that book. I don't. I don't know. I don't. I'm just saying this. If I start a book and it's not what I thought, it's not interesting, it's not relevant to me at this point, it's not what I was expecting, then I'll stop reading it.
Nice.
And I'll probably give it another chapter or two and see if something comes up. But if it's a fictional book and it's not something I want, then I'll put it aside and we'll go to something else, because the time is precious. And who knows that maybe in 2 weeks or a month or a year, it is the right time. Now, there are times where I'm reading something that's professional development or personal development, and I told myself I'm going to commit to read this, and I'll have to stick through it and kind of force myself. But that's pretty rare. Most of the time, if I'm not interested, we'll put it aside and we might circle back to it later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was kind of crunching through books, a couple of months back, and I was getting to my 1 week goal. I was so excited. Then I hit one book, and it was just 2 months. I was still at it, just kind of, no, you're going to do this. This is your, and finally I just had to let it go. But I felt so defeated. It's like, maybe, is this how voracious readers do it? They crunch through it anyway. So that was nice to hear that, like, no, I loved your line. I don't owe this book.
No, no, me and the book don't have a relationship yet. No, not yet. No.
I love that. So, talk to me about structure, because I love how interesting your structure was of the books that you selected. Because in my mind, it's like, okay, we're talking about books today, but you're going through, you're choosing things for different areas. Expand on that for me.
So, and I forget where I picked it up. It might have, I was some mentor at some point. But I typically will have at least 3 books going at once, right? So, and I mentioned the two before,
Yeah.
and then I'm also studying for a different insurance license, right? That's some knock you out type of reading right there. But I will typically have one fictional book that often I find inspiring, and that's part of my reading, and then I will have one that's on personal development. We talked about Jim Quick and Limitless, and just so many good things that you pull out of that. And then I will have another that's professional development, and whether that's back to types of insurance, maybe it's a certain niche of an industry that I'm dealing with, or it could be self-defense book. And I try to go through have those 3 books going at one time and get through at least those 3 every month. And then we'll pick a different book. And sometimes it goes a lot faster than that. It could be 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then I'm ready for another book. But we've always got them lined up in the queue in those 3 sections.
You mentioned Jim Quick earlier. I'm not sure if all of our watchers know exactly who this is and how the incredible information he shares. Please check him out on YouTube. He has a great channel over there. He has quite a few books, and it's Quick, spelt Kwik, Jim. And so that's his book right there. Why don't you share with the audience who this lovely person is?
Yeah, Jim Quick is an amazing story. He real briefly, he talks about how he was the boy with the broken brain, and how due to this fall, he just couldn't think the way he thought other people thought, like the
Yeah,
speed, the retention, all of that.
yeah,
But he made it his life's mission to figure out how to think better.
yeah,
And that's exactly what happens in his writing. Like, it's great instruction on how it's meta thinking, like how to think better. And I just found so many good things out of this when I read this. In fact, I keep it on a special shelf here in my office because there are books that I consider to be reference books, and this is one of them.
yeah,
Very good.
absolutely. And I was so impressed that, well, this child at that time when he had a brain injury, and it's funny what people tell you that you can't do, right? But the brain is very resilient if we tell it and start working it. It's like a muscle, right? You got to
Yeah.
work the muscle.
Mhm.
And he truly did. And this is all the learning over this period of time of how to effectively learn. How does that roll into your reading? What was some of the takeaways that you got as far as how to develop your process with book, your speed,
Mhm.
integrating it? Can you share that with us?
Yeah. So there's a chapter specifically in this, and some of his other writing and videos about reading and how to read more effectively. Just two pieces that I picked up that really helped me. One was, I found that when I was reading, I was reading to myself, meaning that I was
Love that too.
reading the words and internally speaking that to myself.
Yeah, yeah,
He's saying now you're limiting the amount of data that you can go through because it's at this speaking pace. The brain moves so much faster than that.
yeah,
So I had to stop reading to myself. The other thing was, and I it's really good, is having a note card and, like, literally going down the pages of the book with the note card and moving the note card faster down the page, so I am forcing my eyes and my comprehension to follow the pace.
yeah,
For me, it was like, a dog race
yeah,
where the dog's chasing the rabbit, and for me, that note card was the rabbit, and my mind had to really pick up the pace. And I have found that if I'm not careful, I go back to the slow pace. But then I have to remember, hey, pick up your pace, Alex. You got to go on this,
check it
and
out.
I can get through books 2, 3, 4 times as fast.
I loved his sharing about how to increase your speed.
Mhm.
And I thought it was going to be some over the top thing. I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and listen to this. And I was so impressed. It was all numbers. It was very, very logical, and I'll just go through it really quickly so the viewers can hear. And again, please check out Jim Quick for all on his YouTube channels. There's a ton of things. His podcast is there. Everything's there. But he made it so simple. He's like, first step, take out your timer on your phone, put a timer on for a minute,
Yeah.
and read the first section of the book, the first page. How long does it take you to read? How many pages? How many pages did you finish? Boom, step one. How many pages are in the book? Times that by how many lines
Mhm.
was on the page. And
Mhm.
now you're going to, that's your pace. That's your personal pace, no one else's pace. I think sometimes, Alex, people they compare their day one to someone
Mhm.
else's highlight reels.
Yeah.
It's like, Alex is way farther ahead. That's why we're learning from this love that he has. But if you're starting right now, yeah, it's going to take a little while. And then I love, like you said, it's for me, I use the pen. And it really targets my eyes in. And
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of silly when he mentioned it, but I didn't go out and do a special headset. But I just put my earplugs in, and it dampened the neighbors' dogs and the birds. They were beautiful outside, but they were a little distracting.
Sure.
And so getting and it really focus to me in on what I was doing. And then simply after that, setting a goal. I
Mhm.
love that of like, well, if I do an hour every day for 7 days, I'm going to get through this book. And this
Mhm.
is my time investment.
Mhm.
Um, that was actually kind of interesting to me. I'm like, that's it. No high level. I don't have to take a 5 hour class. He offers so many wonderful tips like this. So I love that, you know.
Yeah, very
For
good.
you, Alex, what's your goal for the month? Do you set a goal for the year, the month, the week? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, my daily goal is to read. Like I specifically read in the morning. Like I have a whole routine I go through. It's this miracle morning thing, but I
Yeah.
have a specific goal to read in the morning.
By the
And
way, can I interrupt you? What is your miracle morning? I've heard this mentioned before, and everyone has their own variation. Do you mind sharing?
no, 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 not at all. Um, okay, mine's just weird. I have prayer, I have affirmations, I have visualization. Um, I okay, this is weird, but it works. And this is Anthony Robbins. Don't blame me,
Yeah.
right? I put an ice freezer in the back of my man cave back here, and I fill it with water, and it is 34, 35 degrees. And every morning I get in that for about a minute, and it is blaring cold, but it hurts for the first 10 or 15 seconds, but then I am wide awake and I feel phenomenal, right? It's just amazing. And then you get out and you do your exercise and stretching and Peloton. But I have this routine that I go through in the morning and it is consistent. I
Yeah.
mean, if I'm not traveling, and even if I'm traveling, I do some variation. But if I'm not traveling, it is what I do in the morning. It's how I set my day. It's how I set my state of mind and set my intentions for what I want to do during this day.
Absolutely, absolutely. I use the MMP
Hmm.
method, movement, meditation, and then planning.
Yes.
And I like this to happen before a 7 o'clock networking meeting,
Yes.
so that 2 hours is very, very intentional. And my reading happens then as well. I was very intrigued, because I know a lot of people read in bed at
Mhm.
night before they go to sleep. And I was doing it like that for years as well, um, uh, until Jim Quick.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you do all of your reading in the morning, or is it at night as well?
Okay, so I do it in the morning, and then I do force myself to have a like a recuperation session or time during the afternoon, like middle of the afternoon when you get sluggish. I will force myself to read again, and often that's something that I find inspirational because it'll bring me back up, right?
Yeah.
And then I do read in the evenings. Often on the weekends, I will set aside time where I'm very specific with, hey, I'm going to take this hour or 2 hour session and I'm going to read. I'm going to focus on reading.
Yeah.
The other thing that works for me is in my bag that I take with me, I always carry a book or two. Right? And that's just because when there is downtime or I'm waiting in line at the grocery store or somewhere, I can pull out. Often it is a paperback because they're easier to carry, and I can use that time effectively rather than looking at a tabloid or staring at people. I will find a way to read. My next time in line, good, put the book away. Let's get back to life.
Perfect. I love it. I love the process of it all. And I'm hoping that as folks are listening to this, I have connected with a lot of attorneys as well on my LinkedIn page. And of course, we know for obvious reasons they're reading a lot. But
Mhm.
then there's a lot of other folks as well. And it's like, how do you work that in? It seems almost like this massive task to work in, but I'm hoping that some of the tips that we discussed today really like helps. And I love that you're so intentional about where you put it on. Do you literally put it onto your schedule,
Oh
or do
yeah,
you just simply know now?
it's on the schedule, and it's like everything else. I can get better at being disciplined with the schedule, but I have found that if I don't schedule it, it probably won't happen.
It
And
won't.
if it's important, like some of the books that I read, like the knowledge that I pull from the book could be life changing. And if that's the case, then why wouldn't you schedule something that could drastically improve your life? It
Absolutely.
doesn't make sense. So schedule it and do it and be better for it.
No, absolutely. And I love that you integrate audiobooks as well.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I always think of audiobooks as master classes,
Mhm.
because you have them in your ear and it's almost just for you. And specifically, that's the reason why I always love it when the author does it versus an actor, because
Yeah.
they add so much extras to it. So I really add the perspective that they bring.
Always.
Alex, thank you so much for being on today and sharing this love of yours. It was all great information. Please reach out to Alex on LinkedIn. And of course, just to remind you about Alex's business, he is a independent commercial broker. And, they always have so much great information as far as coming up with outside the box thinking for your small business. So please reach out to Alex and just have a discussion with him. And if you're thinking about marketing, please reach out to me at powermarketingsf.com. And I'm going to close out with a quote today. You guys heard me saying it earlier, but it was Harry Truman who said, "Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers." I hope that helps you today. As always, my continued mission is to introduce you to people like Alex. I'm surrounded by great referral partners and sharing their expertise. Hopefully, this will inspire you. We know what we know in our businesses, so why not get this great information from each other? Continue to grow and learn, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing the program and have an amazing rest of the day. Take care, everyone. Thanks again, Alex. I appreciate you so much.
You're very welcome, Paula. God bless you.
Take care. Bye.